Hey guys, how's it going? A real quick discussion about pleural effusion. That is a condition that can make a person short of breath. Okay, it means that they are filling up with a lot of fluid inside the pleural space. And first of all, do you guys know what pleura is? It is a lining on the lungs. Okay, and it's not just one lining; it's two linings, and it's very intelligent design. You can imagine if you put, you know, organs like the lungs inside chest wall cavity, because it's a big cavity, and you put two lungs in it, and then let's say that they are just, taking a deep breath, expanding, and then they're exhaling the air out, and they contract. They're doing all this, and then they're going to rub against each other constantly because of their action. And on top of it, if you put a heart in between, then the heart is going to be constantly pumping, and then that's going to be rubbing against the lungs. And then this is going to cause a lot of inflammation, and that's not good at all. So the way, our body is designed is that each of these organs, they have their own linings. And with regards to the lungs, there are two linings. They're called as the pleura, and the lining that's attached to the lung, that's called as visceral pleura, and the lining that is attached to the inside of the chest wall, like over your ribs and all that, that's called as parietal pleura. So now you can imagine, so there's two different pleura, okay? Visceral pleura on the lung, and then parietal pleura on the ribs. And, they both are pleura, they're membrane. And within that space, you got a little bit of fluid. So when the lungs are expanding, because of the presence of the fluid, it's rubbing against each other, but it doesn't cause any inflammation because it's well lubricated. Very intelligent design, isn't it? So, but usually there's just very little amount of fluid, okay? Maybe an ounce, like 20 cc, 30 cc, so a little bit of fluid. But then when you have a pathological condition like a cancer, or tuberculosis, or heart failure, or pneumonia. So there are many reasons where this pleural space, it gets inflamed, and then you start putting out a lot of fluid in there. A liter of fluid or 2 liters of fluid, so there's a lot of fluid. And when the fluid builds up, the chest wall, cavity is just a limited space, right? So when there's too much of fluid that's building up, then it starts encroaching on the space of your lung. So it starts compressing on the lung, and now the lungs cannot expand because there's too much pleural fluid. And when that happens, then patients get short of breath. Does it explain it? And sadly, some patients come to the emergency room because they're very short of breath because their pleural cavity is now filled up with a lot of fluid, and the lungs can actually completely collapse. Like one of the lungs can be completely whited out. It could be collapsed because there's too much fluid in the pleural cavity. And when that happens, we had to put a needle and drain that fluid. We'll keep discussing about these kinds of things in the future videos too, okay? I hope this explains what pleural effusion is, okay? I'll talk to you later in my next post. Goodbye.